Hey everybody, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know about another venture that I've got myself into. I started another YouTube channel that's completely Disney based. It's called Miscast Members, and as of the release of this video, there's two videos over there. One is about some of the new adventures by Disney destinations, and the other one's actually a personal recounting of last year when I was at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge for May the 4th. I'm really proud of that video, so I'd really appreciate it if you went and gave it a look and maybe dropped a sub on the channel. I'll leave links down below. Today we're looking at a microphone from a company that gave me one of the biggest surprises last year. We're looking at the Comica STA-U2A. Now the A version is actually the one with the mic arm. There's also the U2D, which comes with the mic stand instead. And the one thing I can say for sure, Comica is the microphone with the biggest package. In the box, you get the microphone, a shock mount, a windscreen that attaches to the shock mount, a USB-C to USB-A cable, and for the U2A version, the mic arm with the desk clamp. And as we look at the mic itself, it's a sturdy build. It's not an all-metal build. There are plastic elements, of course, to this. If we look at the bottom of the mic, just underneath the threads where you actually attach it to the shock mount, that's where the USB-C cable goes. So when you look at the front of the microphone, you're going to see knobs for the microphone gain and the headphone volume, but also two capacitive buttons, one for mute and one for audio preset mode. There's actually preset modes for podcast, streaming, and singing. We'll give a listen to each one just to get kind of an idea what that actually means. And if you look at the very back of the microphone, you're going to see the headphone jack for zero latency monitoring, and then the button to actually adjust the RGB. Looking at the microphone, you can barely tell there's actually a ring for RGB. It's right here, you can see it, but we'll see it a lot better once it's plugged in, so let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so we're all set up here on the arm now, and it looks really nice. The arm itself is really nice. I like the desk clamp on it a lot, but I really wish that the part that came on the bottom also had a pad of some kind, just to keep the bottom of the desk from getting scratched up. And the arm is solidly built. It's a nice design, has that Rode PSA2 kind of feel. There's a nice little bevel right here at the joint that allows for really good cable management. My only gripe about the whole setup, I really don't like the way they did the shock mount. It feels like it almost goes on the opposite way that it should, but I actually double checked on the box and all that. This is how it's supposed to go. And also, it's very wobbly when you move it around on the mic stand. I don't care for that at all. It needs to be held a little bit more solidly. So right now we're on the absolute default mode. There's no presets turned on, and that's indicated by the light on the preset not being on at all. We're now going to go through all of the individual ones. So we hit it the first time, and now we're in podcast mode. So if anything, I'm guessing there's probably a little bit of boosted bass in this mode. I can't really hear a gigantic difference in my ears right now, so we'll have to listen to that later. And now we're in streaming mode. I don't really, again, know what it's actually doing. There's no description in the book as to what differences each of these make, so again, we're going to have to listen. I did hear a difference when I switched between the two modes, though. And this last one. And this last one's singing, it sounds like we've put me in some kind of a cathedral. So I don't know if that's a good idea if you're trying to record your vocals for a song. You're trying to get rid of such echo. Maybe it's just the way I'm hearing it in my ears right now. I don't know until I actually go back and listen. So we'll find out. Okay, and now all that's back off, and now I have my mute that we can test. So I'm just... you missed some gold there while I was muted. And then the last thing we can play with back here, this is actually where our RGB button is. So right now we're on what I believe is the Ocean Waves setting. So if we hit it again, this is the Comica Orange. This is the breathing setting. I don't really like the breathing setting because it's not a very fluid motion. You can see the click, 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 click as it's being like turned on. So I don't care for that one very much. This is the RGB slow effect. This is the rainbow effect. That's not a trick with my frame rate or anything. It's actually going around in that kind of a choppy manner. And that's just off. So this version I'm in right now, according to the book, is actually supposed to be audio dynamic light, so I don't really know what that's trying to do. I sent audio through it as like my headphones. I'm speaking into it and nothing seems to be happening. So I guess I can't go much further with that one. Oh, hey, hello. Test. Okay, so apparently I just wasn't seeing what the audio dynamic mode does because it doesn't actually start doing it on the front of the microphone, it does it on the back, so I guess so viewers can see it first, but as you talk into it, it's kind of like the levels bouncing. So that's pretty neat, but because I wasn't speaking loudly enough, apparently, it tricked me because it didn't show up over here and I just thought it wasn't working. Okay, so now I think it's time to put this thing through its paces with the usual test phrases, and then I'm going to go back and listen to it and see what we can do to even improve on that. But before we do that, we're going to add the windscreen because I want to put this thing through the best test that we can possibly give it. It actually goes on really nice. It just fits directly onto here, so that's nice and easy. It's a little bit much as close to my face as it is right now, but it's not a big deal because you guys can still see my face, and that's what's really important. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. All right, I'm going to take a minute to go back and give this a listen, and then we'll be right back with you. Okay, so I had a chance to listen to all the things. First off, I wanted to talk about the different modes. So the podcast mode, like I suspected, actually had a little bit of a bass boost, which to me, it felt unnatural. I know that it is a pretty popular thing to do when you're podcasting. The bass is a lot more pleasant, I guess, when you're listening, and as a podcaster, I do understand that. I do boost the bass a little bit, but it just felt a little bit more unnatural to me. The one I liked the most, actually, was the streaming mode, and that brought up my presence a little bit more. Best analogy I can give, it kind of like brought me closer to the audience in some way. It just felt a little bit more natural to me. The music one, it is exactly how it sounded in my headphones. There's just this kind of dreamy reverb to it, and I don't understand the point of that. I would expect that there would be a vocal clarity or something that you would want to add to singing vocals. I think that one's a little bit just more of a gimmick. It's a good one to have, though, if you like having kind of voice mod things going for your stream or something like that. That's something that it gives you the availability to do. That being said, when you're doing voice mod stuff, you don't want to be, going through your microphone to trigger that. You might want like a Stream Deck button or a hotkey on your keyboard, or have it triggered from somebody on Twitch, something like that. But overall, the presets, which are internal to the microphone itself, not too shabby. Now let's talk about the overall sound of the microphone. It sounded fine. Comica really has been a surprise to me. With all the really big names out there, you wouldn't really put too much thought into something like this, but it's really, really impressive. It's by no means the best condenser microphone I've ever used, but it is a very affordable, sturdy, and competent microphone. But what I want to see now is if I can take this competent microphone and take it to the next level by adding some VSTs. So I did what I always do. I added some VSTs in OBS, including a noise gate, compression, and EQ, and I also did some processing to the raw audio in DaVinci Resolve, and that included some noise reduction, compression, and EQ. So let's listen to what those sound like. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. The small pup, not a hole in the sock. The fish twisted and turned on the bent hook. Pressed the pants and sew a button on the vest. The swan dive was far short of perfect. The beauty of the view stunned the young boy. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think that is actually the cleanest I've ever gotten a microphone to sound using the third-party VSTs. Both the OBS and DaVinci Resolve versions were super clean, and I just really enjoyed the way it sounded. The noise that did exist in the raw audio was just completely wiped out with no residual damage to the vocals, and I only needed the slightest boost to the low and the high end. Now, I did dip the middle a little bit. It's the usual California smile that I do, except I didn't really go as high on the low and the high end. I went to maybe 2 decibels each. So I'm thrilled with how that came out, but what I'm more thrilled about is how you can make this sound and how much it actually costs. Now, Comica doesn't sell this directly, and it doesn't come through a lot of stores. There's a lot of online things, so you're going to get varying prices when you're looking at it. But from what I saw online, you can get the STA-U2A, that's the ARM version here, from anywhere between $109.99 and $129.99, depending on what site you go on. And if you just want the version with the stand, that's the U2D, you can find that for $89.99. All those prices are in US. And I can't overstate the value in what you're getting here, even at the higher end price of the $129.99, to get an arm like this, to get a microphone that sounds like this, with the built-in windscreen, which is metal, by the way, and a really nice shock mount on it. This is really good value. But what did you think about the microphone? How does it sound to you? How does it look to you? Let me know down in the comments. And also let me know down in the comments, what do you think about these package deals, these kits? Because we've tried a few of them now. Most mics usually come with some kind of a basic stand, but we've come across a few now that actually has its own arm. Would you rather get your arm separate from whoever you want, or do you like a package like this? Keeping in mind that it shouldn't be a shopping deal breaker, because you can just buy the version with the stand. You don't have to buy the version with the arm. And while I've still got you here, why don't you check out the video of the other Comica mic that I did? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, gang, let's get to work.